Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good afternoon. Good evening and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits. Seriously, hopefully this show finds you in good spirits. Because why? Another day above the dirt is always a blessing. My beautiful ladies and gentlemen, a day above the dirt, another day is always a blessing. I hope you guys are all doing well. There's a lot that we need to talk about. There's a lot of things. Of course, we're still on the Diddy train. I know. But the Diddy train just keeps trugging along. And there's a lot that we need to talk about. There's a lot to dissect. There's a lot of things going on. And there's some updates that I want to share with you guys before we do a show tonight, because I do have a show in about a little less than 4 hours from now. I'll be live and I'll explain all of that. So I wanted to be on here to give you guys a little bit of an update and a little bit of a reminder on what's to come tonight in less than 4 hours from now. So I'll explain all that stuff here and then some very, very shortly. Okay, so do me a favor, and we got some new updates. That's not a joke. There's some other updates that are going on, and this is getting crazy. This train ain't gonna stop anytime soon, guys, so we might as well just get comfortable, okay? Might as well get comfortable, dag nabbit, all right? So do me a favor, before we get into everything, hit that like button down below, crush it, do what it needs to do. You know what to do. Crush it, hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms, please be sure to hit that follow button on Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Show some love. And make sure you hit that follow button there. Subscribe here on the main channel, okay? We're not done. We're not done on this topic and so many other topics, y'all. There are so many other topics that are going to be popping off here very, very soon. So be sure to hit that follow button, subscribe here on the main channel, go to my secondary channel, because there's a lot of stuff that we're talking about on the second channel that also gets discussed sometimes here on the main channel too. But I am putting out videos in the morning, first thing in the morning, giving you guys some stuff to talk about, so you can get some coffee in you and wake up and everything. There's a lot to talk about, okay? Make sure those notification bells are set to all, so please be sure to subscribe to the secondary channel, okay? The Pascal Show clips. We're this close, literally. Less than 200 subscribers away from 10K, which is amazing. So please hit that subscribe button on the Pascal Show clips. Okay. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Support the channel if you can. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/the Pascal Show, because there's some new stuff that's going to be coming out over there in the next couple days. Just a quick little shameless plug, heads up. And of course, please check out pascalmerch.com, because we got some really great stuff going on with pascalmerch.com. Okay? So go and do that. Please and thank you. Go check out all the great stuff that's over there on pascalmerch.com. Okay, guys. Let's get into this, okay? Oh, yeah. We got some really great graphic tees. We got some really great Halloween t-shirts, graphic t-shirts and all that. We're about to pull out here soon our holiday t-shirts as well. Not only just the Halloween, but I mean the other holidays like, Christmas and all that as well. So we got some really great stuff coming around the bend. So make sure you go over there, check out pascalmerch.com. You guys are buying amazing t-shirts and all that stuff, which has really been appreciated. And it's been amazing to see the store grow. Okay. And our stuff is really nice. Okay. So we got to get into this. Okay. Now, obviously, we've already been talking at great lengths about the diddler, Diddy. okay, for lack of a better term. And of course, we all have been feeling some type of way about this man. Yes, I know this is an old photo, but I just wanted to pull it up because we've been using the same kind of photo over and over and over again, just bringing a little variety. In fact, you want some variety? You want some variety? Huh? You want some variety? How's this for variety? Where is it? Bam. Let's just make it real saucy. Okay? Let's make it saucy as hell. Let's make it zestfully clean. Sorry, not sorry. Okay? It's a very weird photo. It's very off-putting. But we're going to use it for right now. Shall we? That one's something else. Anyway, here it is, though. I can't, it's like, yeah, we're going to go back to the old photo. Okay? That's enough. That photo makes me uncomfortable. Okay? He is the first man to ever receive FRICO charges. Okay? FRICO charges indeed. Now, here's the thing. We saw a bombshell press conference yesterday. Bombshell. I feel like I'm still like I'm waking up from a really bad night of kicking it, like a hangover of some sort. Like I'm still like getting over the hangover of this press conference that happened yesterday. Mainly because the things that really threw me off and really just hurt my soul more than anything in the world was hearing about how young some of these victims were. And again, we're going to go through all the details, not all the details, not the gruesome details, but bullet points covering what they said in this press conference. But nonetheless, the press conference was scathing, jaw-dropping, absolutely insane, heartbreaking, aggravating. It puts hate in your heart. Real talk. And again, we got to say this too, if any of that stuff is true, this really hurt. And I'm sure, and we're just on the receiving end of the information. Imagine what happened to those supposed victims and how they went through what they went through. But like I said, there's going to be a lot of information that we're going to kind of circle back, go back through again before the end of this show. Okay. And I did talk about it in a pop-up video on my second channel, the Pascal Show clips. I know. Stop promoting it, Pascal. I have to promote it. Okay. So that you guys know when the second channel exists. But I already did cover a little bit of this on that show. But I do want to point out, first off, to all of the people that have been brave enough to step forward and speak out about this, I commend every single last one of y'all. Yes, I know they're gonna weed through the people who are telling the truth and the people who aren't. And God only knows. Maybe all these people are telling the truth. Maybe every single last one of them is telling the absolute 110% truth. You never know. We just have to err on the side of caution, though. And also remember that innocent till proven guilty still stands in the court of law. But still 120 individuals stepping forward is a lot. And apparently there's more. And you got to also remember, this man has been doing this for how many decades? How many? They say that he's been doing this since 1991. Well over 3 decades, y'all. That's plenty of people. That's plenty of victims. That's plenty of freak-offs over the course of 30 plus years. That's a lot, y'all. That's a lot. And then on top of it, they say 25 of them. Well, first off, let's get through the information. So there's 120 that step forward. Okay? 120. 50% of them are men. That's 60 individuals. And 60 other are women. That's 120 in total. They say that the demographic is majority African American. Majority. Or, a more than half of the 120 are actually African American. Then on top of that, 25 of them, 25 individuals say that these crimes happened to them when they were minors. Let me say that again. 25 of them say that they were minors when they were viciously attacked, SA'd, R'd, what have you. We heard some crazy information. But what also is very interesting about this is that there's a certain percentage. They say over half of these people, over 50% of these people, filed with police, filed some sort of report to police about these crimes actually happening to them. When or after these crimes happened. And yet, what did law enforcement do? Don't worry, I'll wait. Yeah, because the fact that you're not saying anything to me right now because I can't hear anything, that means exactly what it is. Nothing. They said and did nothing during that time. So since 1991, all the way up to literally all the way up to till about July of 2024 of this year, just a few months ago, he was causing crimes. And there's more people that are going to be stepping forward. Remember that the hotline for SA, SV, and SA now has become a Diddy hotline. It has literally become that. A Diddy hotline. Imagine that. Put that bee in your bonnet for a second. Can you imagine that? He has caused so many crimes. How many crimes has he done? That they have actually turned a hotline and renamed it specifically for the diddler right here. Now, ain't that something? So, yeah. This is a very interesting situation, a very interesting case. We are literally in the middle of witnessing history in the making. We are currently watching something massive, potentially massive. Let's be real. Can we say all 120 were actually 100% telling the truth and they really are all victims? There's a possibility, not 120. But there's a lot of people that are stepping forward saying that he did some terrible things. So, no matter what, it's still a gangload of people stepping forward. Period. Gangload of people stepping forward and speaking out. And you know for a fact that it may not be 120, it may be 110. Shoot, it may be 100, maybe 80. It don't matter. It's still a lot of people that were viciously attacked by him and his cohorts, or people that were around him, enabling him, and now possible accomplices as well. And like I said, there's details in here that are absolutely insane. And I got it here in my trusted little notebook. But again, as young as 9 years old, they say that the phone calls it's flooding. Thousands of phone calls that they're receiving on this hotline, dedicated specifically for the diddler. All of these complaints so far, all these lawsuits are coming from 25 different states. 25. Majority of them coming from New York, Florida, Georgia, California. Because obviously those are the places that he would go and hop around and do these things. Again, a lot of these things were happening at parties. Everything from holiday parties to album release parties, holiday parties of all kinds, not even just, Merry Christmas, but, Happy 4th of July, America, you know what I mean? And then puppy parties, which I still don't understand what the hell that is. But at some point, we're going to find out what the hell a puppy party is. But puppy parties. And also, I'll say this. The person who said this about the puppy party, that right here, puppy party, whoever said that, and if it is true, they ain't lying. No one just makes that up. No one just comes out and says, how can I make more money? How can I make a bag off of Diddy right now? Oh, let me just make up a party. And yeah, puppy party. No. I believe that actually happened. Ain't no way somebody just makes up a puppy party out of the clear blue sky. Sorry, not sorry. Moving on. We found out these individuals were actually tested, finding out that there was actual chemicals, substances in their system because they were given drinks, and those drinks had substances in them. Something called trank. Basically a horse tranquilizer. Okay? Xylazine. I've only said it twice in my life. Xylazine. Okay? Xylazine. I ain't never heard of no xylazine in my whole entire life. But apparently, giving that to some people. What's also very interesting is that they say, hey, if you ain't drinking, you out. If you don't drink the drink that we give you, you ain't out. You ain't here. You out. So what do? Someone who wants to be there. Someone who sees an opportunity. Huge opportunity to become a star, right? What do? You drink it. Not even think twice. Or you say, I have my own dignity, and just walk out. That's the other option too. But a lot of people, when they see an opportunity and they see, oh my gosh, I'm hanging out with Diddy. I'm hanging out with, isn't that Drake? That's Will Smith right there, man. I just shook hands with it, bro. Oh my word. No. I'm drinking this. Gulp. Okay. But people would still do stuff like that because they're scared or they're hoping for an opportunity. And then they wake up and crimes were committed. Like I said, guys, the stuff that's in here is still mind-blowing. I still cannot believe that this is actually real. I'm really angry if you don't see. I mean, I've been angry about this for a minute. Let's keep it a buck. I've been angry about this for a minute. Okay. And I'm very frustrated because this is something that should not have happened. All these kids, no matter what, people, kids, no matter what, none of this should have happened to these individuals at all. Oh, you want to be the next Chris Brown? Well, you're going to have to do this, this, and this, right? It's pretty insane, guys, and it's frustrating to hear any of this stuff. I saw something, I could have sworn I saw in the corner of my eye somebody say something about Krishan. For real? I'm trying to see if I can find it. Okay. Pierrette just said, Krishan is now trying to claim she's a Diddy victim after seeing what she did Prego and life changed her child for however long it lives. Yeah, that child is. I'm concerned about that child. Let's be real. I think the whole world's concerned about that child. I don't believe a word she says. If Krishan's saying that she's a victim too, that's a new one. Okay, that's a brand new one for me. But let me just keep it a buck with y'all. Okay, I mean anything's possible. She may be lying. She may be telling the truth. God only knows, right? You got to remember, guys. Like, and I don't know if that's true. I'm just reading what I read in the comments. Hold on, before everyone's like, Krishan for real? I don't know if it's real, y'all. I don't know. I just read it in the comments. And if it is real, I wouldn't be surprised. those claims? I wouldn't. Okay, I would not. And just so you know, Blueface, yes, it's Blueface's baby mama. Okay, and she's been on a whole bunch of reality shows and all that stuff. With all due respect, she's a train wreck. So is Blueface. Okay, just to be completely real. Okay, she has been in and out of jail, prison, whatever. Same thing with Blueface. Blueface is in jail, I think, still right now. Is he in prison right now? I don't keep tabs on them anymore. Okay. Never have I ever. Okay. To begin with, but they were making headlines because they're toxic. Okay. They're just a toxic relationship and everybody watches it and then they blog about it. That is their legacy. Okay. Now, if she was to say something about that, her being involved with the diddler, that'd be news to me. That would be news to me. But before we get moving into here, though, all right, just so you know, there is a list of accomplices that the lawyer, Tony Busby, is going to be coming out with. Allegedly, there are some names on this mug or in this mug. Okay. We're going to talk about that in just a second. But he says the names will shock you. Okay. And this is what he said during this press conference. The day will come when we will name the names of other than Sean Diddy Combs. And there's a lot of names. What's crazy, he says, okay, it's a long list already. But because of the nature of this case, we are going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that, which I'm happy that they're going to do their due diligence, right? They're going to look into every single case, 120 cases, by the way. Damn, okay? But they're going to go through every single one of them, make sure everything's properly vetted, do their due diligence, make sure everything's real, right? And then proceed. Because it would be very reckless if he went up there at that press conference and just started dropping names. Jay-Z, Beyonce, like that would have been bad, right? That would have been an absolute nightmare. That would be lawsuits for him if that was to happen, right? That's reckless. That's not how lawyers esquire up in this mother lover, right? Last I checked, right? But nonetheless, we got some new updates on this, okay? A list of accomplices, includes powerful hotel execs, bankers, and pharmaceutical bosses, says the lawyer. Do you realize, I'm just going to keep this a buck with y'all, okay? Hold the presses. Still, this is shocking, but this is not the information that we're looking for. No. Because we don't know who these hotel execs are. And do we even give a damn? I mean, we do give a damn, but do we are they big? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, powerful hotel execs. Oh my gosh. Bankers. Oh my gosh. Pharmaceutical bosses. Oh my gosh. Do we know any of them? If he was like, tech gurus like Elon Musk, you know what I'm saying? Something of that sort. I feel like we would be like, oh my God, right? Now, yes, Hilton's, sure. Okay, somebody who works with Pfizer. Okay, sure. Those are great names to have. But I'm like, but who else though? Why aren't you saying like big time politicians, huge movie stars, movie executives, music record, huge musicians, huge recording artists, so on and so forth. They're not giving us that, though. They're not giving us that. Okay? So he says multiple lawsuits by 120 accusers will mention household names as well as companies and individuals who were aware of and profited from Diddy's alleged crimes. Profited off of Diddy's crimes. Again, this is when I start asking the question is, does this have anything to do with these movies? Remember, you got the diddlers out there going, putting up all these hidden cameras everywhere, right? And I really did do the laugh. Yeah, I did. But he, running around like the diddler, hiding cameras throughout this freak off room. This isn't just for him. These videos aren't just for him. They're for somebody else. So why would anybody profit off of his alleged crimes? I mean, unless he's like moving, you got to remember he's looking at some RICO charges. So, unless he's moving weight, if you get what I'm saying, party favors and stuff like that. Sure. But everybody's looking at all the S crimes that he's committed, like the freak offs. So I'm wondering, profited off of? What could that possibly mean? But like I said, he says illegal filings seek to go after banks, pharmaceutical companies, and hotels that allegedly aided the mogul. So you mean to tell me what pharmaceutical company helped him? I mean, clearly he was able to get his hands on horse tranquilizers. So where did he get the horse tranquilizers from? From these pharmaceutical companies? Oh, this is a great one. It'll knock them out really quick. It's called xylazine. You know what I mean? Same thing with these hotels. Hey, man, I'm going to give you like a stat real quick. You didn't see nothing. Delete everything. Okay. Thank you, sir. And thank you for your business. Banks. What's up with the banks? Why banks? Like I said, why banks? He makes money, he puts it in the bank. So why would banks have anything to do with his crimes? Right? Like I said, I got questions. I got a lot of questions. And the thing is we're going to have somebody very fun on the show. I'm looking forward to having her on. So please welcome Danny on of Danny on Direct. Hello.
Hello, man. Did I not call this? First of all, did I not call this? Did I not say there were multiple victims and there's no way the FBI didn't know?
Yeah, you did say that. You really did say that. And
backstage, we called this. I said, there's no way that the FBI didn't know about this. They knew about it when it came to Nasir, right? Where he was abusing multiple girls, hundreds of girls over the course of decades. And their families reported it to the police. I brought up Jonathan Odie. Well, I found Jonathan Odie's overall report. If you guys can go and look it up, he's the crazy guy who went and shot up a Trump hotel back in 2018. And while he was in police custody, he had an entire interrogation video talking about being a P. Diddy sex slave and how he was able to escape and how P. Diddy would sit there and force him to have sex with these women and would watch him on cameras. This was all back in 2018.
Right.
And he said, the reason I did this and the reason I'm talking about this is that the American people know what's going on. Because the feds know. Now, here's the weird thing. So I went and I pulled up Jonathan Odie's overall report and from the state attorney. And it says if you want details about what they found in his apartment, you have to contact the FBI. So the FBI was engaged in that case too. So you can't tell me that they didn't know.
I wouldn't put it past them if they've already been looking into the Jonathan Odie situation, because I mean, yeah, during that interrogation, he's sitting there saying, yeah, I was at these parties and all that. And clearly something's not right with Jonathan Odie. I mean, you can clearly see, I mean, that's starting with one of the reasons why the main reason why he was even locked up in the first place. I mean, he walked into a hotel. He was, pew-pewing up the hotel. He's having a firefight with the police, getting shot in the leg, all that stuff, right? So I could see them like overlooking that whole situation with Jonathan Odie, but at that time. But now that all this stuff is flooding out, hell yeah. I mean, I'm sure the feds have looked into that. I'm hoping that they've interviewed him, asked him more questions, and maybe bringing him and turning him into a key witness.
I doubt it. Unfortunately, I doubt it. You look at these 120 is what they said in the press conference, 120 victims. They're suing on through a civil case. And you said it yourself. How many reported it to the police? And the police did nothing. I can guarantee you the police did something. It was probably passed up the chain. It probably got out to the FBI, and the FBI said, yeah, we're investigating it. Just leave it a be. Well, the same thing. And the reason I say I knew this and the reason I called this is because this happened in Nasir. This happened in a certain JE case, if you'll recall. In the
Right.
JE case, the one police investigator who actually investigated this case, he kept trying to contact the victims, and he eventually gave up and just opened up the yearbook, okay, to the general age of the poor victims in the JE case, and just started calling down the list of girls in that age range, knowing that that was the only way he was going to find and connect with victims. And before anybody jumps on these victims and says, oh, well, they're all crazy or this or that, keep in mind that a lot of times in these cases, there isn't a perfect victim. A lot of these cases occur because the predators prey on people who are already emotionally vulnerable, maybe mentally vulnerable, maybe financially vulnerable. They may have drug addictions. They may have a criminal history. Most of them have a criminal history. And this is how they're, expected to sometimes make money in certain circumstances. And we have no idea. I mean, if the youngest was 9, who knows what this guy was promising a 9-year-old? I mean, clearly there's a
Right.
pattern, there's behavior here. My question is, again, is why did the Fed sit on this for so long?
That's see, exactly. Why did the Fed sit on this for so long? But then also on top of it, now we're starting to understand that there were at least more than half of these individuals that had filed before. They have filed police reports in the past when these crimes happened to them. What's up with local PD wherever these crimes were committed? What's up with local PD not looking into this and not doing their due diligence? So it does make you wonder, all of these situations, 120 individuals all saying in unison, Diddy did this to me and some other celebrities over here too. Why is it taking them so doggone long? The other part too, I think is interesting is clearly the feds knew about these 120. They clearly had to have known. They had to have known. But why aren't they added into their investigation as well? Is it just
Into the
too
criminal case?
overwhelming? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, into the criminal case. That's a great question. And the
Yeah.
only thing that I can think of is the criminal indictment does include some Jane Does and John Does, I think. I'll have to go back and double check. But my thinking is it must be a statute of limitations issue. But even then, they're bringing RICO claims. They still need these
Right.
witnesses to come testify. They still need to show a pattern of criminality. And you asked, why are the banks involved? Well, we know why the banks are involved. We know why the banks are involved because we've seen the banks be involved before in the JE case, where with Mr. JE, I'm sure all your audience knows who I'm talking about. I can't say the name without getting your channel in trouble with YouTube.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So, but with the JE case, it turns out that the SEO of Chase Bank, okay, was
Mhm.
using his Chase app to buy and sell these victims.
Time out. Hold on. Whoa. So, because that's the one thing I was asking about right before I brought you on. I know you put in there, I know why in the chat. Now, here's the thing. Here's
So
the
money
thing.
laundering is
So because I'm curious about this bank stuff. Couldn't he have just walked in, taken 10 grand out without question, and then just divvy it out, pay people the 10 grand, pay the S workers, pay whoever off when he needs to pay them off? It's his money, right? So why would he need to have banks finagle it, right? Or money launder? Tell me, because that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so I'll explain. So generally speaking, the banks have a requirement to report suspicious activity or activity that tends to include bribery, certain other words that I can't use on terrorism. But generally, if it's involved in criminal activity and it suspects that it is, it has to report it to the SEC. That was the lawsuit that was brought by the U.S. Virgin Islands against Chase Bank, was because they said, look, you knew that Mr. J.E. was involved in these activities. And not only did you know it, you helped funnel cash to these private entities, these shell companies, where he was laundering the money that he was earning from allegedly selling and buying these young women. So that's what happened in the JE case. I would not be surprised to see the exact same thing happening in this case. By the way, Chase Bank settled out of court as soon as the AG of the Virgin Islands was fired when Joe Biden went to visit her over Christmas. So we will never have a full list of clientele from the JE case.
Dang.
Which we would have had, by the way, had this gone to court. So had the AG continued to pursue those charges against the bank, because the bank knowingly was involved in the JE case, because they did not pursue those charges, there was no discovery. So we won't get the list of names, even though we know that they used their Chase app to transact.
But we won't get the full list of names. So
We won't get any names.
So then what the hell's getting floated around here on X right now? There's a big ass list of names. I mean, I saw Drew Barrymore up in that mug. I mean, I saw all these names. So now you're telling me that what?
So there was a defined list of clientele in the JE case. That's my point. They were literally transacting. You could follow the money. As a matter of fact, one Chase employee did, and he raised it up the chain. And he said, wait a second, I'm seeing all these transactions that aren't checking out. Something is weird about this. Something is odd. He was doing his job, which, by the way, all banks have the obligation to do. If you go and try and pull out 10 grand in cash, they'll ask you what it's for. That's part of their job. It's part of what they're required to do by law. If you have transactions beyond a certain amount now on even private transacting apps like CashApp or Venmo, you have to put exactly why you're sending X amount of dollars. Now, most of the lists for the JE case are speculative, and it's based on the civil complaint and the civil discovery in those cases. And what they discovered in the civil discovery was a list of names that were provided by victims. And you can read through the criminal indictment against his partner, a certain Ms. GM. If you go and look up GM's indictment, you can read through some of the testimony, some of the documents that have been made available where the victims name names, but also the pilots per FAA regulation have to keep a going logbook of everyone who travels in, everyone who leaves on JE's plane. And so he kept a going logbook. That's how we knew that the Clintons had flown 23 times. Donald Trump had flown at least one time. We know how many times Bill Gates flew. And the only reason I know about this stuff is because my criminal law professor in law school was one of the attorneys representing one of the victims in that case. He's the reason that case was brought back up in New York, even though he had already gotten a sweetheart deal down in Florida. Because what happened with the sweetheart deal in the JE case is that they didn't notify the victims of the plea deal, which they're required to by law in the state of Florida and in other states. And so they were able to revive that case, kind of create somewhat of a zombie case to hold him accountable. And unfortunately, in the words of Bill Gates, well, he's dead. So that's what happened in that case. I wouldn't be surprised to see the exact same thing happen in the Diddy case. It would be heartbreaking, though, because this clearly, it doesn't surprise me, the number of victims. What surprises me is the number of years that this went on and the number of police, because it's not just one jurisdiction. All these victims are from Chicago, New York, LA, Georgia, Texas, right?
Everywhere.
He just listed where all the victims are from. And when you go to look at where all these victims are from, that's not one case of bribery, even though we do have that listed in the criminal indictment where he had his bodyguards bribe the local PD and the local hotels to keep their mouth shut to make it all go away, right? If he was doing it then, who's to say he wasn't doing it back then, back to the 90s? So how many police are involved?
That's what I'd like to know. I mean, obviously, all these people, all of this law enforcement most definitely is on his payroll. I mean, that goes without saying. If you're telling me all these people have come out, they have filed police reports at the time when these crimes happened, and then police did nothing about it, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense. Obviously, some sort of cover-up, some sort of corruption is going on. Shoot, there was just a couple days ago, a lawyer went on to a lawyer representing a 13th, I guess, a soon-to-be 13th victim, said that she ran out of a quiet suburban neighborhood, or like a house out in a quiet suburban neighborhood where Diddy had attacked her. And there was an eyewitness. They said that, of course, they saw a black SUV like skid off into the down the road. You know what I mean? Leaving that actual house where the girl was screaming bloody murder out of. She went to the police and filed a report. She didn't name Diddy, but she reported it. And then what happens is the police didn't look into it. Now they're looking into it because the lawsuit is going to be filed. But at the same time, what about when it happened, whenever it did happen, years ago, yesterday? It doesn't matter. Why are they holding those things out? Clearly, to me, this shows that there's somebody being on a payroll or somebody's getting paid off. Clearly Diddy has long money, right? So he could pay everybody to hush up. But at some point, it's all going to start catching up here, right? And so maybe that is part of the bank's situation, right? That these payroll things are being seen in some sort of way. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, the banks definitely had to have known something. They definitely had to have filed a report with the SEC saying, hey, look, we see some suspicious behavior going on. Like I said, they're required to under law. If they didn't, then they might be held civilly liable and potentially criminally liable. Maybe not to the victims, but certainly to the state. So we could see a similar case where the state AG files a case against the bank and then says, look, you should have complied with SEC regulations. You didn't. And now we're going to hold you accountable. That could happen. The other thing that, is something to consider for anybody who's thinking, it doesn't take all cops to be in on this for this to happen. The corruption only needs to occur at the person who's handling the case. So if one police officer, let's say we have a police officer who wasn't going to take a bribe, who did pursue the case, like we had in the JE case, one investigator who just continued to follow leads and follow leads and follow leads. He eventually was told to stop working on it because the local DA had taken over the case and was in contact or communication with the FBI. So we're no longer in need of your services. We'll let you know how it goes from here. So that can happen. And it does happen. It has happened. So this is not, me making up a scenario where it could happen. It has happened. Right. And if it's happened in those cases, why would it not also happen in this case? Especially, and people are going to come and hound me on this. I'm going to be honest. Statistically speaking, people who have a skin tone darker than mine and a skin tone darker than mine tend to be the victims who are the least heard, tend to be the victims who do not receive the amount of attention, the amount of investigation, the amount of credibility and seriousness that these cases require, the amount of, believing first, at least to the degree that you start to investigate.
No doubt.
And to give you probable cause. And so if it is in fact that, 60% of the victims were, a darker skin color than mine, likely it just was shoved under the rug and nobody threw up a fuss. No one said anything. Everybody just kind of went, muh. And this is what I predicted too. I would not be surprised if there are not deaths connected to this, because if they were using quote unquote professional sex workers, who's to say that those professional sex workers weren't brought into the United States undocumented? And if they disappear, no one knows.
No doubt.
And if it's happening to 9-year-olds, in this case, who's to say it's not happening to undocumented 9-year-olds who you are not. DHS lost 12 or 13,000 kids this last year.
Yeah.
12 or 13,000 kids. We saw them at the border and we have no idea where they are now.
Right. And like I said, you are not wrong with that. And obviously this could be a lot. Obviously we're starting to learn that this is a lot bigger, clearly a lot bigger than we even expected. Because now, just on this alone, right? This bombshell press conference that happened yesterday, 120 individuals, there could be 500, it could be 600, it could be 1,000 different people that have gone through something. And you ain't wrong with the whole people could be missing out here that were involved in this situation. People who could have been taken against their will and then discarded, them murked out here. They could be in the middle of a desert, buried somewhere. You never know. this man clearly is a very, very dangerous individual. But I want to say this though, really quick before we continue on. Though I see a bunch of y'all in here. This is a fire conversation. It's great to have Danny on here chopping it up with us about this and everything. Please hit that like button down below. Let's get into 2K. We got a lot of people in the house. Okay, show some love. Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. Hit that follow button. Hit that subscribe button. Also, I want to take this opportunity to give you guys an update about something that's going on tonight. I'm going to have an exclusive interview with this gentleman who wrote a book, a memoir about his close brush with death. Okay, the book is called The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me. He wrote a book about a high-speed chase throughout Manhattan. He was being chased by Diddy and his cohorts throughout the streets of Manhattan. And he has a lot to say, especially in the early stages of Diddy growing and Diddy becoming Diddy. Okay. So I have that exclusive interview tonight, and that's going to be at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. You definitely want to check this out. You don't want to miss this story because it is absolutely wild. It is definitely starting to catch a lot of attention now because of everything that has happened. Now we see how volatile Diddy really is, right? We're now starting to learn that big time. And so this story and his book is now starting to get, starting to make its rounds now. So he's going to be on the show to talk about everything. It's going to be hopefully very amazing conversation. So be sure to tune in. 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be live. So be sure to tune in. And that's just in a couple hours from now, guys. All right. But back into the conversation. Just wanted to get that opportunity in really quick before I forget. But still, okay, we see this whole thing now. This is one of the questions that I mainly have, okay? Because at the very beginning, they said it was going to be a class action lawsuit, right? They said 50 to 55 people. This was going to be a class action lawsuit. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, now it's individual. They're going to do 120, give or take, individual lawsuits towards Diddy. Why did they change it from a class action lawsuit to individual lawsuits? Can you answer that at all?
My best guess is that each case, they indicated that many of the victims did not call the police and didn't report. Many of the victims did. I think they're going to have problems with statute of limitation concerns, which with each one of the victims in each one of these cases, they may have multiple reasons why certain cases might get thrown out, and they may anticipate that there's going to be evidentiary issues where the class might not survive as they continue to drop off. And so it's probably much easier and effective and efficient to try each case individually. The other reason they may drop off is because when you do these class action lawsuits, what can happen sometimes is there might not be enough to recover in terms of damages to hopefully, help the victims through this really difficult phase and through this difficult time. By the time the money finally gets to the victims, for compensation wise, it's not as much as you would expect or as much as you would think. And so for those reasons, my guess is that they're going to proceed with each case individually so that each victim has the highest opportunity or chance of getting some compensation without being precluded from bringing their own cases. So if they get precluded in their own case, that's one thing. But if they get precluded from bringing lawsuits in the class action case, they might be a little precluded on their other claims against Diddy in an individual case.
I see.
So they don't want to damage any one of these victims' cases and opportunities to receive some sort of compensation or at least have their voices be heard. And that can sometimes happen with a class action. And that's, we saw this approach with the spotlight cases against the Roman Catholic Church, where each one bringing individual suit had a greater impact on the compensation that each individual received versus the class action suits. So
Mhm.
there's just different ways of determining this. We don't know right now, but I venture to guess once they start filing the complaints, we'll have a better idea of, oh, okay, this is why they decided to pursue this strategy rather than a class action.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's just a lot of work for all those lawyers. That whole law firm is going to be busy for that's like that's a
Years.
long time. That's going to be years, right?
Yeah.
But that's the other thing too. Because I was, and because obviously I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV. But I am kind of curious about the bombshell press conference to begin with, because you can't a lawyer can't just go up onto a microphone and just talk wild, right? So he has to have some sort of evidence of some kind to prove that these at least 100 of these people are actually telling actual truths, not just going up there just throwing out wild allegations and accusations, right? He has to
Yeah,
have
this is
something solid, right?
Yeah, this is important to know. People need to know this. So when attorneys make certain claims, uh, we're bound by the rules of professionalism and professional conduct by our specific bar associations. Certain attorneys have gotten in trouble in the past for making public statements that were completely false, completely fabricated in order to gain an advantage or, et cetera. So what I will say is at least my practice at my law firm and with many other attorneys I know, you hear a story, your client will call you, they'll tell you what their story is, what it is that they need help with. And what you do, your job as an attorney is to conduct some due diligence to verify their testimony so that you can sign your name at the bottom of the complaint that says, yes, I verified that everything that is alleged here upon information and belief is true and accurate and is a full accounting, right? That's
Mhm.
what you're signing essentially at the bottom of all of those is saying, yes, I've verified this to a certain extent. Now, to bring the claim, you only need a scintilla of evidence. That's what the Supreme Court has said. So a scintilla, right? A scintilla of evidence, meaning if there's a police report, for example, that would be sufficient. If there is a journal entry, that might be sufficient from that time that is contemporaneous with that time. If you have testimony of someone else who had heard the victim and who had discussed these things, that would be sufficient. So it definitely is not proof that these things are 100% true, and we won't know till trial, obviously. Currently, P. Diddy is in the law's eyes innocent. In our eyes, clearly the guy's a monster,
Court of
right?
public opinion, it's a wrap,
Or the
right?
public, but it's not just public opinion. We have enough evidence that's out there, whether that be fire bombings,
Right.
whether that be, faces that are bruised, whether that be the testimony of hundreds of
Videos.
victims, videos, his own statements outside of court, right? I think we're well within our rights to say the guy's a monster. But right now, we're just waiting until that evidence comes in. And my hope and my prayer is that the evidence keeps coming. He survives to get to trial. He and his family and the victims all make it
Oof.
to get to trial. And this actually goes to trial. And
Yes.
I mean, if it doesn't go to trial, I don't expect them to plea him out. But if it does go to trial, I hope that we get better insights that he actually does testify on his own behalf, which is not something I would ever recommend someone do. But I'm always happy when I see a dumb criminal. So,
Oh,
I would
same.
love for him to testify on his own behalf.
I am actually curious about though now. Let's talk about the celebrities and the household names real quick. Uh I'm kind of curious about that because they're now saying that there's a list of accomplices. Okay, right? We looked at the banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels. Okay, we get all that now. They're not household names though. Okay, sure, Pfizer is a household name. Hilton Hotel, Chase Bank. Those are household names, but they're not household names. It's not like Oprah, Jay Z, Ashton Kutcher, Justin Bieber, so on and so forth, right? So I am kind of curious about these names of these household names. When it comes to these lawsuits that are going to be filed, obviously these names will be revealed. They're not going to be held behind some sort of veil, right? It's not going to be like Diddy and XXXXX was, in this room. They're going to be put in there as a co-defendant, correct?
I hope.
Okay. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for too, right?
I hope. But again, it goes back to that scintilla of evidence, right? If there's a scintilla of evidence against these co-defendants, then yes, we can name them. But if it's all hearsay, if it's all,
Yeah.
oh, well, I overheard that someone went to these parties. By the way, the puppy parties don't surprise me at all.
What
First
the
of all,
hell's do you know what the hell puppy party is?
I don't
You,
know what it is.
you
Okay. I'll
know,
be the
you
first to
know.
say,
No,
no,
I'm
I
just kidding.
really don't know. But I'm going to throw this
I'm
out
just
there.
kidding.
Okay.
Okay.
There are certain code words that involve certain monsters with certain sexual preferences. Okay. Not towards animals, but
Okay.
towards minors. Okay.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay.
Yeah. And
'Cause
they use certain code words, certain key phrases. So
I figured puppy meant like young, you know what I mean?
it could be that.
For
It could
lack of
be a
little.
young male to be abused. It also could be
Damn.
actual puppies at a party, and I mean that sincerely. You know, everybody thought that it was crazy. I grew up with, like, big cats. This is a random tangent, but I grew up with wildlife, and it didn't surprise me when I saw Tiger King. I went, "Yeah, that is the industry." What they do is they take these baby cubs and they go and they hang out with the rock stars and they get tons of pictures and they have little, little tiger parties and leopard
Wow.
parties and lion parties. So it wouldn't surprise me if that didn't also include, puppies, and that wasn't a part of this really sick, I mean, really sick predatory behavior that is alleged in every lawsuit, whether
Theory
that be against adults or minors.
The theory I had, Siri actually thought I was talking to it. The theory, it's theory. I didn't say Siri, but that was weird. But the theory that I have is that it's a way to lure these kids to hang out more or
Yep.
something, like to be there. Oh, they're puppies, yay! Let's play with the puppies, and then, then these monsters come in to the room to,
Well, and it's
fill
to
in the blank.
convince the parents too. You have to remember, Pascal, we're not just talking about little kids that are being groomed. If there's little kids
Yeah,
being
that's
groomed,
true.
parents are being groomed.
No, you got a point there too. You got a
So
point there too. Okay, so so now we know about the names. Clearly, if they're in these lawsuits, their names will be out. But I'm also wondering if they're going to catch actual criminal charges or lawsuits themselves individually. You see what I'm saying? So if it's Ashton Kutcher, for lack of a better term or lack of a better name, was in the room, turned a blind eye, or wasn't active in these crimes, would he be catching some sort of charge right now, or at least a lawsuit individually?
did you bring up Ashton Kutcher because of the case he was recently involved in, where he was involved with Scientology and knew about what was going on and helped try and cover it
No,
up and silence victims?
I know about all that, but no, it's
Allegedly?
because honestly, it's because Ashton Kutcher's been in a lot has been getting a lot of attention lately. And of course, you got to remember he's also somebody who is big into he had a whole organization that he stepped down from that had to do with trafficking and sexual assault and all that stuff as well. And he stepped down from that because he was standing by Danny Masterson and all that stuff as well. So it's very interesting, Ashton Kutcher's whole situation. But I was just using it because he has been making headlines lately. He was good friends with Diddy as well, always up in those white parties, having a grand old time, and had a strong connection with Diddy. So that's why he's like in the forefront of my mind right now. And so I'm wondering, somebody like him or Jay-Z, any of these other people that were close with him, could they possibly see some sort of lawsuit independently from this Diddy situation as well?
I mean, they may be liable, but whether or not they actually see a lawsuit depends on a myriad of factors. One of those factors is, are they going to testify in this case? How can we get them to testify in this case? Is granting them immunity sufficient to get them to testify in the criminal case? Is having them having the victim sign a waiver saying, yeah, we aren't going to bring a lawsuit against him if he helps us, or she helps us in this case, right? There's a myriad of ways that could go. So it's hard to say right now whether or not they'll be named as a co-defendant, either in a criminal or civil lawsuit. The reason that I ask you about Ashton Kutcher and whether or not you had brought him up somewhat ironically is because I just, if they didn't do it in that case and they didn't do it in the JE case, even though we had names named and we know who was involved, I'm very reluctant to say that they'll hold anyone else accountable. As a matter of fact,
Really?
I hate to say that. I hope I'm wrong.
Oh no.
Hey, listen, man. I hope I am wrong. I hope that each and every one of these monsters goes down with the ship. Okay. I really hope I'm wrong. But I talked about this last time when I said I would not be surprised to see not just household names of other stars and starlets, but also political names. People who are athletes, people who not only knew, but who were going to say, well, I kind of knew something was going on. I thought it was consensual. And they'll kind of yada, yada it away as quickly as they possibly can.
Right.
As quickly as they possibly can. So are there going to be impacts on them from a social standpoint? Because if it ain't happening on the social side and people aren't canceling these people on a social side, then why the heck would we ever expect from a criminal or legal standpoint for them to be held accountable? And I that's my skeptical side. Okay. That's Danny's skepticism. That's my legal skepticism.
Right.
My hope obviously is that all these people are held accountable, that the truth comes out and we understand the level of involvement and who was involved. Right.
Yeah.
I'm very reluctant to see any of them really being held accountable. If you're naming names, if there's names that might be included that might include, let's say, Montel, let's say it includes, because Montel had his connections, let's say it includes the current or prior governor of California. Let's say that these lists include, DAs in Hollywood. Let's say that it includes whoever this list may be. My concern is that because it may include politicians, this is going to be too large and too heavy for anyone to hold each individual independently accountable, is my point. So, and the public tends to just shrug. I mean, let's be honest. When's the last, and I'm asking you because you'll know better than me. When was the last P. Diddy album release?
February or something like that, I think. Love.
Do we know what his record was? Like what his sales were?
Probably not that good.
Right?
Maybe decent, but not that great. I'm not as good as usual because all of this stuff that was circulating around him, it happened around the same time he was dropping the album. I think it was around that time. I think, but so, I don't remember.
This is completely speculative on my part, but I have noticed that as stars and as politicians start to fade, right? As they're going into the sunset of their career, they're getting ready for retirement, whether that be Bill Cosby, whether that be, P. Diddy, whether that be Nasser. That's when these cases seem to come to light, is once they no longer have the stranglehold of power on the industry and on the public perception that they used to. So think, for example, about R. Kelly. R. Kelly, they brought the case initially when he was at the height of his career, and the Boondocks did an entire episode making fun of the victim and saying, dude, this was completely racially motivated. They just wanted to go after, a black star. This is the feds trying to keep a man down, right? They said that years ago. And how long until R. Kelly was ever held accountable? It wasn't until he was basically retired, basically at the end of his career. So if there are top stars, top celebrities who are named in this, who are still actively producing music, actively in the public eye, actively there, you have to remember you're risking public outrage. You're risking, protests at the courthouse, like with what we saw with R. Kelly, where people were lining up down the street. I mean, hell, there was a civil case between two stars, one who was arguably a B-list star and one who's obviously an A-list star, with the Johnny Depp case. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, think about a freaking clown show that was.
It was an absolute cluster F for real.
Right.
But we were all there for it. You know what I mean? We were all there for it, watching it. You know, in real life, watching that whole thing go the way it was going. But you know, at the same time, I feel like there's always going to be people on both sides, right? There's always going to be people who say, you know, you're just trying to take Diddy down because he's black and successful, or just you're just trying to take him down just because he's a name. And then there's going to be people out there that are going to say, hey, this guy's a monster and he should be locked up. There's always going to be that, no matter if the feds had more than enough smoking gun evidence pitted against him or not. There's always going to be opposing sides. But for me, you know, I think what's really important is it's not only just Diddy. That's the problem. And that's what is aggravating me more than anything, because it's not like it's unearthing and exposing. It's not like it's unearthing and exposing the dark underbelly of Hollywood. If they only just do Diddy, all those other people will just continue on in their lives going, whoo, that was close. Man, that was close. Another freak off? Let's go. Oh, it's going to be over at such and such house? Let's go. Nothing's going to change. You're just taking another person. You're throwing him a lot. You're locking him up. Yes, he's now a pariah. We all see that now. But at the same time, if there's other people, these accomplices, if there's other people that were involved helping him do these certain things, lock them up. Take it all down. If it flips Hollywood upside down, so be it. If you have to flip Hollywood upside down and shake that damn thing so they all fall out, so be it. Because we're talking about not only our kids, not only the people that we care for, we're talking about all the things that we're consuming every single day. We're believing these people. We're looking at them and going, hey, oh, I'll buy that tube of toothpaste. Yeah, I'll buy those shoes. Oh, he's such a nice guy. So on and so forth. When in actuality, this person could be a P word, could be an absolute predator, doing puppy parties and doing all this crazy stuff, whilst just 2 seconds ago was on live TV trying to tell you guys, you know, God is the way, read the Bible, that kind of thing. Like, those things are really actually happening. And so if they were to just not say any names at all, this would be a travesty, in my personal opinion, to the whole legal system. Then what's the point of locking him up? Let him free then. You see what I'm saying? That's pointless in my personal opinion.
You're
Absolutely
spitting
pointless.
fire. You are spitting fire like a dragon right now, okay? You're spitting fire, but let's be real. This is what we've all been saying for decades.
True.
You're not alone in feeling this, okay?
Yeah.
We've all been saying it for decades. And it's not like Hollywood has made a big secret of this, okay? Hollywood has flaunted it. They've bragged about it in music, in songs, in movies, in everything that Hollywood does.
Right.
Is a mirror, is a projection, a much prettier projection of what is going on behind the scenes. And everybody freaking knows it. Why do you think it is that when one comedian stands up at an award show, right, and says, you were friends with J.E., you were friends with J.E., he's your friend, not mine, not mine. Yeah, I'm sorry you lost your ride home, your private jet. You know, when people are making jokes about certain actors being like mafia, right? Being like mafia types who are buying and selling these kids and women, it's like at a certain point, it's no longer funny. My hope is this. My hope is that you are right. And if there is any hope in this, Pascal, if there's any hope to be had, it is that Hollywood is dying a slow and tedious death. Nobody's watching the award shows anymore. We barely go to movie theaters. Almost everybody's on YouTube or has some alternate form of media. Okay. We don't want the scriptedness. We don't want the fakeness. We look and crave and desire authenticity. That's why when we hear stories about Mr. Beast and his involvement in, assumed, misconduct, we get upset because no one likes to feel tricked. No one wants to feel like they were lied to. And when the lights go out and the glitz and glam of Hollywood slowly fades into the nightmare that it actually is underneath, which is deeply corrupt, that feeds on people who are very vulnerable, who want nothing more than to be loved and to be appreciated, who want fame, who want, everything that all the stars before them enjoyed. They are very vulnerable in that scenario, and they've been preyed on for decades. And my hope is that this is the fall of Hollywood. Nothing. Yeah, Team Psych Ward said it the best. Nothing changed with Nickelodeon. Nothing changed with Disney. Nothing changed.
I was going to say, but see,
nothing changed.
That's the problem. I've been saying that a lot too, that, as much as I'm sitting here saying, like, flip it over and shake them out and bury them under the prison and all that stuff. One thing that's really sad about it is that one disturbing pedophile gets thrown away, another one rises from the dirt, right? It's like the phoenix, but it's a really bad demonic phoenix. It doesn't change, right?
Well,
It's
that's
the
why they
same
pin one
cyclical
guy.
thing.
That's why they pin one guy. They don't want to lose the empire. They don't want to lose what's been built. They don't want to lose the criminality. They just want to get rid of the guy in charge so that they can put someone else in that seat. It's their turn now.
And then he's going to do his own version of these freak off parties. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, rinse, cycle, repeat. It's beyond upsetting that from an attorney's perspective, like I have law books behind me that in both my criminal law book and in my contract law book, there's so many cases involving Hollywood dating back to the 1960s and 50s where nothing is done, where victims are blamed, where they're told that, oh, you're just in a gilded cage. You're not in some gilded cage. You chose this. This is the lifestyle you wanted. And as long as we continue to blame the victims and say, oh, they're just here for a payout, they're just here for this, they're just here for that, we will never have accountability. So my prayer to all of you is, if you believe these victims, stop going to see these movies where you believe that these people are involved in. Stop listening to the music. Stop engaging in the material that funds the criminal enterprise. If you believe that these are true, if you believe the allegations are true and these names start dropping, it's up to you to defund them. I mean, that's where we're at.
I guess the argument I guess I could see from the other side is people are going to say, oh, well, we need some sort of entertainment. Because if it's like you're just taking out all of Hollywood, then there's nothing to consume. I mean, I get it. Read a doggone book, okay? Or start your own movie company or something like that. But at the same time, I could see that being difficult to just cut out entertainment in its entirety in a way, right?
No, I'm just saying go to alternative sources for entertainment, okay? Go support your local artists. Go check out Instagram. Has been a huge boon for so many young artists. Like half of my playlists are made up of Instagram stars where they release their music on Instagram or they release their music on YouTube and they're able to get some streams. These alternative systems have drained Hollywood of the power that once existed. You no longer need a record label. I mean, Tom McDonald proved that. You don't need a record label to have your name out there and to sell millions and millions of copies. And you actually are the direct beneficiary of that money. And you get to choose what you do with those funds. And how you use those funds is a direct reflection of your own personal values and what matters to you, instead of relying on the record label to determine what your values are, to make you into a little puppet, to say, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. And it's not just Tom McDonald. He's just the first that came to mind. I mean, how many rappers are there on YouTube that are phenomenal, right? Phenomenal. And we don't see them as celebrities, right? But they are what they are. So, expand your collection of entertainment sources. I'm always looking for subscribers. Check me out.
Maybe she'll start singing songs or rapping for you guys as well.
Oh, I sing on there. Not well.
But Danny, I appreciate you coming on to the show, chopping it up with me and everything. I mean, this is obviously an ongoing case, an ongoing situation, and I really hope. Okay, I really just want to close this out saying I hope you're wrong. I really hope that they actually come out and they expose the truth and expose the names that. If there's huge names that are involved in this, household names, they need to be unearthed. They need to be exposed because, I mean, let's be real. Diddy can't be the only one going down. I get it that he is the start of it all, but he can't just be the only one. I hope this is like he's the one who just is. He's the tipping point. He's the one who just starts it all, right? But Danny, again, thank you so much for hopping on. I really, really do appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. Okay.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Thanks.
All right. Big thanks to Danny on Direct. And go check her out. Check her out, Danny on Direct. I'll make sure I put the link down below. Be sure to subscribe and go and check her out. She's got some really great content as well. But yeah, I mean, Danny isn't wrong with the possibility of them stopping right at Diddy, but it is kind of scary to think that that could literally be what happens. There's so many. It aggravates me to think that that could actually happen, right? There are so many people that deserve justice, and there are so many potential names that have used their privilege, their wealth, their fame, etc., in the worst, most monstrous ways possible. And I'm not here for that. Those people should be held accountable, period, point blank. So it is kind of scary to think that there's stuff like that out here, that there are people out there like Diddy, alongside with Diddy, that were enabling, that were, as Tony Busby has called them, accomplices to his crimes. That's scary. That's absolutely scary. But to think that J.E., Epi, as I like to call him, that list hasn't really been out, but there was a list, and those people were out here, and a lot of them were doing crimes alongside Epi. And we have yet to really hear fully 110% those people, and none of those people have been brought to justice at all either, which is crazy to me as well. Now, we've heard other politicians and other people say, oh, yeah, we're going to put out, the list will be exposed. We'll put it out, But have we seen that list really? An official list? No. I'll answer that question for you. No, we have not. So when are we going to actually see the people that are involved as well catch the charges that are rightfully coming to them? It's something to think about, guys. It's just very aggravating. Because once again, there is a possibility that these dirty mother lovers are going to get away with it by the skin of their teeth. It's ridiculous. Sam's Life, thank you so much for the super sticker. Carbonize, my eyes, yeah, because of that photo. Thank you so much, Carbonize, for the love. Again, thank you so much. Math, 20 years, a freak off a day, hundreds of thousands of possible victims. Let that settle deep in the gray matter. SMFH, indeed. Imagine that, y'all. Imagine that. Because there's already thousands of people calling in to the hotline. That is now the Diddy hotline, okay? Real talk. S-Dubs, thank you so much. We cannot boycott everyone until we know who was involved. That's absolutely correct. I agree with that as well. It's hard and it's hard. I think it's going to be very hard to just boycott Hollywood altogether. But at the same time, I get it. There are great independent artists out here. There are really great content creators that are out here making really great stuff as well. Okay. We need a factual list, and I will not boycott. I will happily boycott. I'm sorry. Please hit the like. Yeah. Once we see a factual list, if we ever see a factual list, it would be a different story for sure. And I'm here for that. That's if we actually get a full on list. Again, now it's not only just the Epstein list, it's now the Diddy list too. You see what I'm saying? And now it's like, are we going to get the Diddy list but not get the Epi list? Which I think is ridiculous too. Think about it. So Epi all those people going to be safe, but all these mother-loving people for Diddy going to be exposed? I'm not cool with that. I don't think that's fair. Both should be exposed, period. Because for a fact, some names are going to pop up in both. Watch. Some names are going to be like, oh, snap, she was there and she was there too? Word? Wait for it. Wait for it. But like I said, they should have everything exposed. Called a doggone day. That's just my personal opinion. So hopefully we get some more information here very, very soon. Anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate you guys for being here. Like I said, in about 2.5 hours, I will be live, okay, with DeWitt, Relentless Aaron, the author of The Night Puff Tried to Kill Me. He will be live with me talking about his experience meeting Diddy and then, of course, being chased through the streets of Manhattan, running for his life, being chased after by Diddy and his cohorts. It's going to be crazy. So we will be on at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. 8 Eastern Standard Time. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So please come through. Be a part of the conversation because I'm sure it's going to be eye-opening. And I think there's going to be a lot dropped that I don't think we've ever heard about Diddy. And then some. Okay, guys. But I appreciate all y'all. Thank you so much for being here, being a part of the conversation. Hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms, crush that follow button over there. Crush that subscribe button here on my main channel, please and thank you. Go to my secondary channel. We're this close to 10K. This close to 10K. So go over there really quick. Subscribe to my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Subscribe. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Please and thank you. Okay? Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/The Pascal Show. And if you want to support even further, aside from just becoming a member, check out my merch page, pascalmerch.com. Okay? pascalmerch.com. We got some really great stuff and some really great Halloween stuff. So you definitely want to go check that out as soon as possible. Okay? And more stuff is coming as well. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. Much love to every single last one of y'all. And I'll see you guys in just a few short hours. Dear Lord, I can't talk. But I'll see you guys in about 2.5 hours. We'll be live again. Okay, guys. See you soon. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. We'll talk soon. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.